Hey, um, this is something that I wanted to talk about for a while, and it is pretty darn annoying, to be honest. And that as human beings, we're intuitive statisticians, right? We are sometimes say it's a similar sort of idea is that we're Bayesian statisticians that we look to see at information that's around us, and then we make very simple sort of projections from that. This is kind of a basic psychology sort of way of thinking about how we make decisions. It's sort of deeply rooted in sort of decision making, sort of current decision making views that we look around and we process information pretty simply. And in what we're going through right now, this is, it's 2000, just at the end of 2021. We're at the beginning of a new wave of the COVID crisis. And, cases are rocketing up. Doubling every 2 days is the sort of estimate. And some of you are going to complain about the fact that I'm actually talking about this, but I think it's extremely important for us to actually think about, statistics in our daily life and numbers in our daily lives. The one thing that I've learned, and this is incredibly important for everybody to sort of, there's two things I've learned. I'm going to talk about that are incredibly important. The first thing is all of us are extremely naive when it comes to making inferences from available information. The reason is we typically only look at, easily available information. This is like really deeply rooted in sort of current psychology and, even in management's deeply rooted. We're very fallible in how we make decisions because we are absolutely terrible at looking at information as human beings. The second thing is we're really bad at understanding risk. And the reason is that you don't know what the risk you are in until you've actually until you experience that negative event or positive event. Risk is on both sides of the coin. You don't know what your probability is, your sort of subjective probability, or your actual probability of experiencing something, because everybody's behavior is different. So we are very, very bad at judging risk, and we're very, very bad at understanding the severity of different events around us. And so the only thing that we can do, the only reason we can sort of make sense of numbers is we have to look at aggregates, and we have to look at across a very large population before we can start understanding what that actual risk is. But then it becomes not real to us if we look at this large population, or we look at, this very large sample. It becomes not like specific to us. So it's not real. It doesn't matter, right? You know, Give me an example. If you did this certain behavior, right? You jumped on one foot and you broke your foot. And this was a contagious thing, right? So you jumped on one foot and you saw your neighbor jump on one foot. They break their feet. You're really likely to be very cautious around that. However, if you knew that, 100 million people jump under one foot, and that neighbor was the only one that experienced that broken foot, then you'd be like, well, you wouldn't you would know that the risk is extremely low for that particular event, but you would assume that it's quite high because your neighbor actually experienced it. So we make these very not great decisions in terms of understanding numbers and understanding how things actually work. And this is being human, right? Like we're not machines. We're imperfect in every possible way, right? Like we're not good at making decisions. We're not good at understanding the reality around us. Um, when we have data that comes in that is not great, and that has high probability, so this is getting into my research, and it's sort of high probability, or low probability event of happening that's immediate to you, but it has extremely severe consequences, right? So, death, destruction, you're disabled for doing that thing, even though it's low probability, it's a 1 or 2 or 3% chance of something happening to you. So if you do this thing in a day, you do that 100 times, and only three times out of 100, it's ever going to result in you dying. You should still take that very seriously. That is a very important consequence for you. So you really need to weight that a lot more than you think it should. And we need to assume that we're very bad at making decisions given the available information. We need to assume that we are going to be problematic in how we make decisions, how we assess numbers around us. We need to assume that we don't understand the risks that we actually have. So, long story short, is if indication is coming from people that are pretty smart, that kind of know things a little bit more, and I'm not saying I'm one of those people, but there's other people that understand this stuff better than I do. If they are saying red flag, red flag, red flag, it's likely something that you should pay attention to, as something that this is a red flag. This could be something that is a big deal. So what I'm saying, pay attention to the data. Pay attention to what people that sort of understand data and are really in tune with the data are actually saying. That's a really good thing to do, to pay attention to that. So, 2 insights that you can take from this. First one is, please take COVID seriously. Please go, do vaccines, all that kind of stuff, the sort of mitigation efforts everybody's been saying. And I know that's not a popular opinion, and I know it's been stigmatized and all that kind of stuff, but you need to take it seriously. It's an important thing. The second thing is, if you're managing people, and it doesn't matter, what role you're in or whatnot, if there's somebody that you think is more of an expert than you, try to listen to them. Try to think about where they're coming from. Try to resonate with what they're doing. Assume that you don't know anything. Assume that those people have better insight. Assume that they can actually, provide some insight here. And if, everything works out, which, chances are whoever's listening to this, you're going to be fine. That's great. That's a really good outcome. That is something that we want to encourage. To live a healthy life, happy life, that everybody is, doing well, and you've got great relationships, and that people are really, that things are going great. That's a good thing, and we want to encourage that. However, if the outcome is severe and there are not great consequences from doing that, know that you should pay attention to that. So the ultimate goal is to get you to the point where you're being cautious and you understand that there are consequences, negative consequences to the things that you do, such that you can live a prosperous life and you live a healthy life for the rest of your life. That's where you want to be. It's like, it's like exercise, right? Like, you can not exercise in your life, and everything's going to work out perfectly, right? That's okay. But for many people, you need to exercise to stay healthy. And the moment that you stop that, you're not at risk, right? Like you can go for a long time. You can go 20, 30, 40 years not being risked to any sort of negative event, but eventually it does catch up to you. And these things sort of compound and they add up, right? So even if, best case scenario, you get COVID, and you have very mild symptoms and things like that. That is another thing that your body is accumulating. It's another notch. It's another sort of stress point. And those things add up day in and day out until when you're older, it comes and gets you. Um, there's a lot of consequences to all of these kind of things. We really need to take these seriously. I know it's not a popular opinion in this day and age because it's alarmist and all that kind of stuff, but I would really be be level-headed, be in the middle, with your decision making, not one way or the other. I'm not saying to go out and start getting tinfoil hats and digging a hole in the ground and all of those kind of things. I'm saying stay level headed, make wise choices, have mitigation efforts to minimize the severity of any negative events that might happen in your life. Get life insurance, take precautions with COVID, all those kind of things. Life insurance in general, because things happen. Get hospital insurance, all those things. Just those mitigation efforts, they add up. Life is about experiencing a lot of positive, amazing, great things, but every once in a while, it's also about everybody's life is going to experience a catastrophic event no matter what. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to experience some catastrophic event in your life, whether it's family or friends experiencing something, or you yourself experiencing something. And you need to put in those mitigation efforts. You need to think about risk and what it means to minimize negative things from happening in your life so that you can live a prosperous and healthy and wonderful life. So do take this seriously, and take care and make wise choices. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.